Welcome, everybody. Just kind of a huge day for Raider Nation. I am so excited to sit next to Antonio Brown and his entire family. Watching these kids run around upstairs makes me feel good. I'm the oldest of 7. I get a chance to get some life in this building, and I mean that literally and figuratively. These young kids running around, breathing some life in this building, and that's what Antonio is going to do for this football team. And I can tell you over the years, I've watched him practice at least 10 to 15 times in my duties as a broadcaster. In Latrobe, Pennsylvania, in the heat, I watch this guy practice. He's as good of a practice football player and works as hard as any football player I've ever seen in my life. And when we came here, John and I talked about finding passionate football players that love the game, that practice hard and play hard. And all I'm going to tell you is Raider Nation we got a little better today, and it's all because of the way this guy plays football. Antonio Brown.
Thank you, Coach. I'm extremely grateful to be here. It's what a great opportunity for me and my family. I know I'm excited just how I got here, and I'm looking forward to making these guys proud.
Okay, everyone. Katie and Everett on either side have mics. Please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation.
Somebody wants daddy.
Kyle Martin, Raiders.com. Antonio, congratulations. What does it mean to follow in the footsteps of legendary wide receivers like Cliff Branch, Fred Biletnikoff, Tim Brown, Jerry Rice later in his career? What does that mean for you to follow behind them and wear the silver and black?
Well, it's legendary. It's an honor to be here. I know some tremendous guys been in this building. It's a historic organization with some preeminent players like you just mentioned. And I talked with Coach Gruden, and I told him all those guys, it's great guys. He's been around them and coached them. And I'm just here as a sponge to soak up every information Coach got, to be as successful I can be and to help the team take it to a new level. So I'm just excited being in the same buildings with guys who've been great from the past. But I'm excited to be here and help things go to another level as far as the winning environment.
Matt Schneidman with Bay Area News Group. Antonio, you seem pretty excited to work with Derek Carr. What about your guys' partnership excites you?
Just refreshing. I think he's hungry for success, hungry for turning the organization around, hungry to get on the winning side of things. And I'm just hungry for the same thing. So I think we stand for the same causes, God-fearing men, family-first type people. And we just want to be the best high craft, putting in work in the meetings on the field. I think he's like a sponge, just trying to absorb everything from these guys to my left and my right to be able to help the team be successful.
Antonio, Vic Tafer from The Athletic. Take me through yesterday. You're coming to California, Oakland, first time in the building, meeting up with Derek Carr. What was it like yesterday, the whole day?
Well, it's a great experience. It's been going really fast. I'm just trying to, take it in. But it's all God's plan, man. It's an honor to be here with Mr. Mayock, Mr. Gruden, around some great players. It's a great opportunity, and I'm ready to just get to work and insert some fresh air and some new energy around here, and hopefully develop some great attributes.
To your left, Antonio, Phil Barber, Santa Rosa Press, Democrat. You've generated a lot of headlines over the last year, probably even ruffled a few feathers back east. Do you regret anything you've said or done over the last year?
Well, to any kid out there from Pittsburgh, Pittsburgh will always be my family. Those guys gave me a chance when I was a 21-year-old kid. Obviously, people listen to the things that are being said and written. But at the end of the day, it's all about how you make people feel. I think I made people feel really great and really inspired the way they watched me go to work, the way they watched me play. And, I know Steeler Nation is having a bad day today, but it's always love. Encourage every kid who watched me work and were inspired by everything I've done. And I hope I continue to be a good example, continue to be a good role model, and continue to inspire people all over.
Antonio, Josh Shabelle from Associated Press. You've been on a team that's been in the playoffs a lot, been in contention a lot. This organization obviously hasn't had that success in recent years. What makes you think that things can change here, and what can you bring to make that happen?
I bring accountability. You know, I bring actions. You know, not what I say, what I do. You know, how I approach things. You know, holding guys accountable in the receiver room, developing a pot. You know, challenging guys if we drop a ball. You know, we're gonna have a pot. Just super accountability. You know, I hold it. You know, maybe at the end of practice when I'm doing my jug machine, you know, bring the whole group over to see the jug machine. That way, every guy in the group know, hey, we count on you to make that catch. You know, I'm there watching you work, making that catch too. Because when we all there, we there together. So, you know, bringing some of the principles and some of the things that make good camaraderie and build good teams. To some of the things I know, just you know, whatever needed. You know, being here, being a leader, and taking hold of this thing full rounded.
Antonio, Jerry McDonald from the Bay Area News Group. Coach Gruden has talked before about how hard you work. Mike Mayock came right out of the gate and started talking about it. Your reputation was that way in Pittsburgh too. Where does that come from? Where do you think the work ethic comes from?
I come from my grandma, you know, my family, never being content, always being hungry. No matter what stage you get in life, you always got to progress and grow. So no matter what I do, it's always a fresh slate, a restart and refocus, and never getting content, just always getting better each day.
Grant Cohn, Santa Rosa Press Democrat. John, when the Raiders drafted Amari Cooper, you were on television and said he was the vertical threat the team needed. When you traded him, Mark Davis said he didn't fit your system. My question is, how do you plan to adjust your system to accommodate Antonio's skill set and get him the ball downfield as frequently as the Steelers did?
I'm not sure what the point of your question is regarding Amari Cooper.
You were on television and you said he was the vertical threat that the Raiders needed, and then when you traded him, Mark Davis said he didn't fit your system. And my question is, do you need to adjust your system to accommodate Antonio Brown's skill set and get him the ball down the field as frequently?
No, we won't have to adjust anything with this guy. And we didn't have to adjust much with Amari, but this is not about comparing receivers today. We want to continue to improve this football team. We don't want to have a good receiving core. I want to have the best receiving core in football, and I think to have the best, you got to have the best. And in my opinion, we acquired the best wide receiver in football, and let's get to work.
Antonio, Paul Gutierrez here from ESPN. Two-part question here. First, how much did John Gruden being here have an effect on your decision to accept the trade to come here to play in his offensive system? And secondly, how strange is it knowing that you'll only be here for 1 year before going to Las Vegas?
Well, Mr. Gruden played everything in my decision with coming here. Obviously, he's an offensive guru. You get excited just talking with him. He got so much knowledge of the game. He's coached some of the greatest players ever, so he knows what it takes. You know, he's done been around the game, from in the game, outside the game, and his knowledge is so amazing. He did his homework on me. He done seen every play I played in, every interception. He got the details. He's a highly professional guy. Always make sure you're highly prepared. He covered every variables when he studied players. I'm just sitting with him. He's focused 16 interceptions. He don't want to talk about what you do well. He always want to focus on the things that we could do to be even that much more better. And when you have a coach like that, you know, it's like your dad. You know, you want to be around him because you know he's not going to build you up for what you're doing. You know, he's going to encourage you on how you always could get better. And when you got a guy like that who always going to help you improve and grow, that's the type of guy you want to be around. And that's the type of guy you want to play for. And back to your other questions. For me to be here in Oakland, a part of the Oakland Raiders, and be able to be on the last team that has ever be here in Oakland is something special in itself. So it's pressure in that, it's excitement in that, and there's a lot that come with that. And I'm here today ready to embrace all that.
Coach Gruden, KyleMartinRaiders.com. You know, after coaching Jerry Rice and Tim Brown, and obviously knowing everything there is to know about Raiders' historical wide receivers, what excites you, aside from the obvious reasons, about Antonio and what he can do with Derek?
Well, I get excited because of where this man comes from. I think the 6th round, it wasn't a Division I. He did it the hard way. And he's done everything in his power to be the best he can possibly be, on and off the field. His body of work is not only impressive, it's fun to watch. He's electrifying after the catch. He's a great competitor. He wins the 50-50 ball. He's outstanding in short areas. You have a great imagination as a football coach when you coach a man like this. He can play split end, he can play flanker, he can play in the slot, he can return punts and sell popcorn at halftime. We're excited about this guy. And we're going to put him to good work. And he's got his whole army here with him, and he's got Otto and Ali, and I'm going to get all Apollo. I'm going to get all these young Browns to work here too. But just the life that he has, his enthusiasm to play is contagious. And when we signed Antonio Brown, you would be shocked at how many other players have wanted to come along with him. It's really been a great experience.
Antonio, MJ Acosta with the NFL Network. Here, Coach Gruden talking about your family, obviously here supporting you. How much was it part of your decision to make sure that they were in the best environment and in the best fit for you?
That's the most important key. At this point, it's all about family, making sure the family in the right environment. And Coach Gruden has been nothing but family, welcoming my family, even acknowledging and knowing my family, just speak tremendous volumes of what type of person he is outside the business. And when you have a guy who know your family, who shares that type of love with you, you're going to put your heart on the line for him, to give him whatever it takes for us to be in a great situation, because now he's my family, we want family, and we're here for Raider Nation to give him our all and be the best we can be.
As for Mike, a two-part question. How much have you improved your offense the last few days? And is running back still something you're looking for? Or is that what's the need there, I guess, at running back?
Yeah, I think the moment Antonio walks in our building, we get better on offense. I think our quarterback gets better. I think our offensive line gets better. I think the entire football team gets better. And I'm talking about on Sundays, and I'm talking about having an alpha male in the locker room 7 days a week. That's what I believe, okay? As far as the running back situation is concerned, we're always looking to get better, I mean, at every position. So, free agency starting to draw slowly to a close over the next couple days and weeks, and we'll focus ahead on the draft at every position.
How about Trent Brown also? What does he bring?
Oh, man. Coach and I watched an awful lot of film on Trent with the entire coaching staff. And if you watch him in the playoffs against the Chargers, watch him against Kansas City, the teams we have to play in our division, watch him play football in those games, and you come away saying, regardless of whether he's a left tackle or a right tackle, and we're not even going to address that today, the bottom line is we got way better on our offensive line, and Derek Carr got better, Antonio Brown got better, the whole team got better.
My name is Scott Bair from NBC Sports, and my question is for Mike. Take us back as you're talking to the Steelers and talking to Drew about acquiring Antonio. Was there ever a point earlier in the week where you were pessimistic about the opportunity of getting him, and maybe take us through that versus when you were actually able to seal the deal and bring him here?
Well, we weren't even in on the process until Friday, okay? And, I'm not going to get into specifics, but the bottom line is I think Pittsburgh wanted a certain pick. We weren't going to be able to get there. When that deal fell through with Buffalo, we got involved, and I'll tell you a couple things. I thought Kevin Colbert from Pittsburgh did a great job in getting this thing closed. I think Drew Rosenhaus was amazing, because there were some times where I wasn't sure where we were going to get there or not. Okay, and anytime you've got a high-profile negotiation like this, there are points to be made by both sides, and you've got to get through some things. And Drew did a great job keeping this thing alive. And I've never seen a better connection between a player and a coach when these two got together. I mean, John had 400 clips of Antonio in the office. I walked in this morning. The two of them were sitting in there like little kids watching 400 cut-ups of Antonio, everything he did, everything. I mean, they were like little kids in a laboratory, and that's why we're so excited.
The truth is, Mark Davis invited Mike and I and our wives to an event in Las Vegas. So I was excited to get Mike out of the building. We went to Las Vegas. It was a great event. Mandy Mayock, my wife Cindy, and I, instead of having a nice a double date. We dated Rosenhaus and Antonio Brown. Never saw our wives, but it's as happy as Cindy and Mandy have been since we've known them, when Antonio agreed. So we thank you, brother.
Thank you, Coach.
True story.
John, the moves you guys have made, how does that sort of speed up the process of getting this team back to where you want it?
Well, you know, there's a lot of urgency. I hope people feel that since I've been here. I mean, I think every coach in the league would express the same thing. We have obvious areas on this roster that we want to improve. And Mike Mayock being here, I don't want to, make him mad, but he's made a huge impact on this organization since he's been here. This trade has his fingerprints all over it. We're going to make a couple more moves, I do believe, in free agency that have his fingerprints all over it. It's been a blast, but we've gotten better. We have some resources in the draft to continue that process. And as I said all along, I don't think you can rush this. You got to do what you deem is right. Players don't become available all the time. You can't make all the necessary improvements. It takes a little bit of time, but we're confident that we're headed in the right direction.
Michael Gelkin, Las Vegas Review-Journal. Antonio, much has been said about your work ethic and how you practice. I was hoping you could detail a little bit in terms of how do you make the most out of not just this 2-hour on-field session you get for practice, but what are your habits before practice, what are your habits after practice? Can you kind of run through how you approach that?
Well, I'm real regiment-oriented. I have a perfect system I like to run. Got my chef here, my trainer here, Tony. A team of people who just make sure I could just focus on being my best. I have to surround myself with great people, so I don't have to really worry about, all I can worry about is performing. Being my best when I walk in the stadium and just not having to worry about the kids doing this, the wife doing this. I have people who make my life simple. When I go home today, my chef had the food be ready. I don't have to worry where I'm going to eat. I don't have to worry about when I'm going to train. The guy Tony in my corner to make sure he gonna help me to high standards to be in tip-top shape. My chef gonna make sure I'm eating the right meals so I can able to perform. So just having the right team of people that could, hold me to high standards, making sure I'm at a high level. And, when I hit the practice field, it's all about that. That's the fun part, because we already, put the icing on the cake and did all the necessary tweaks and balance to make me to be the player I know to be. So I got a great team. I'm excited to share my team with everyone's here. If the food bad here, man, my guys willing to cook. I'm here to help the program in all regards. I'm here to make guys better around me. I'm here to elevate everything around me. I'm here to just be a surge of energy, of positivity, and a good force, a great teammate, and bring out the best of everyone around me, because we all know it's not just about me. It takes 11, on each side of the ball. It takes special team. So it's a unit, So I'm just here to encourage, to set a tempo. Every catch I make, I'm going to the end zone. I'm jogging back. You guys will get to know me. And I hope every guy in the line behind me going to take that same approach, because if we all hold each other accountable, we'll be a better organization. And it's not about me being successful. It's about the organization being successful. I think if the organization's successful, then I'll be successful.
Mike, Jimmy Durkin from The Athletic. Obviously, you guys made some huge additions here on offense and so far in free agency. Does this allow you, as you go into the draft, to say, okay, we can really focus there on upgrading the defensive side of the ball where we need to get better?
Well, I think we need to get better everywhere. And whenever you make significant signings, what it does from a team needs perspective is maybe it allows you to concentrate in some other areas, but I've always been a big believer in the draft that value is value, regardless of position. So we're excited about those first, 4 picks in the first 35. That's outstanding, but we got to hit everywhere else, and that's the game plan.
John, Matt Kelhar from the San Francisco Chronicle. You mentioned you want to build the best receiver group in the league. Just wondering if you've been able to come to an agreement with Tyrell Williams, and if so, how that sets you guys up.
I don't have any update on that. Obviously, it's a topic that is out there in the media, I don't have any information on that other than we're looking into his situation.
Yep.
Malika Bobineau with the Oakland Post. Antonio, you come here with a lot of talent and veteran leadership. Obviously, the reality is the offense didn't do well last year. So how do you look at coming in and guiding some of the younger guys and to a standard of which you know, and just at an NFL level to know, not that losing is something you can accept, but how you can get past it and stay positive, and also what teammates have you reached out to start, getting to know some of the other guys well?
Well, my plan is to, get around here, get in the room, start holding guys accountable, let them know it's a certain type of standard here now that we got to upheld. Receivers, we need an accountability system, drops, lates, fines, miss routes, miss sights. We're going to hold each other accountable. And if you don't follow in that accountability, you get fined. And so when Derek Carr walk in the room, he see all the receivers, this guy owed this guy owed this, so everyone have that accountability factor, because if everyone held accountable, we got to be at a certain standard. So I'm just here to set certain standards, hold guys accountable, and just uplift the tradition of, it's unacceptable to accept not our best, you know what I mean? So that's kind of my attitude. We still shaping the team. I can't do it all in one day, but this is a first start to kick off me being here and us doing some positive things moving forward.
David Lombardi with The Athletic. This is for Mike. I know that you've made many significant investments here in the last few days, and probably still more are coming. How do you feel? Are you comfortable with where you are in regards to the salary cap, and were there any measures taken or any particular measures taken to make sure that this is all sustainable moving forward?
I think the most important thing is to be sustainable over a long period of time, and we're good with the cap. I think the wild card in our planning, and I mentioned we spent an awful lot of time with free agency, the wild card was all of a sudden understanding that this guy might be available. That was the wild card. Okay, that was not in our free agent planning. And when all of a sudden we realized we might have an opportunity to compete for his services, it changed everything. And I think when you get a chance to, you've heard John talk about passion and love for the game. You've heard me talk about it. Both of us have watched this guy compete and play at if he sustains it at a Hall of Fame level, okay? And he's in the prime of his career. There's nobody in better shape. And when John and I had that first conversation in Vegas about potentially trading for the rights to Antonio Brown, there was no hesitation. It was all about, both of us thought his play spoke for itself, but even more importantly, what it would do in the locker room and the energy around the building. Now, on the heels of that, the Trent Brown thing was amazing. Coach Gruden kept talking about getting the Brown brothers, and Trent was our number one ranked tackle in this situation. He was also represented by Drew. Drew was really important because there was a lot of competition for this guy. So, when the league season started or the open negotiating started on Monday morning, we had to be prepared, ready to go, and our department was. We had an offer ready to go, and it was aggressive, and Drew recognized it, and it was one of the few teams that Trent wanted to go to. And so I think what you're seeing, and what I'm most excited about, is when an Antonio Brown endorses the Oakland Raiders, and then a Trent Brown jumps in, and then LaMarcus Joyner jumps in on top, there's not only an energy in the building, but all of a sudden there's this energy around the NFL where other players want to come here. We've had an awful lot of phone calls in the last 48 hours that are just exciting. And again, is it sustainable? Yes. Are we going to be able to spend this kind of money in the foreseeable future? No. But we're very comfortable where we are against the cap.
Grant Cohn, Santa Rosa Press Democrat. Antonio, how familiar are you with John Gruden's offensive system? What do you like about it, and how do you feel it suits what you like to do?
Well, he's a Gruden grinder. He's going to study every detail. He's going to study every precision. He's going to put you in the situations to be successful. We already been talking about different formations to line me up in different positions, different verbiage that we could use so I could get lined up faster. He's a real genius at offense. He's an offensive guy. He loves offense, and he's really smart. Just the details of how he studied. I just told you earlier today he got a clip of 400 plays with details on every play, even the good and the bad. And he rarely talks about the good one. He always focuses on the bad. Hey, you had an interception right here. It was a back shoulder throw right here. What happened? So he's always searching for the cylinder. You know, he's never content of you're the best. It's constant improving. He's all about the Kaizen. He's just constantly improving and growing. And that's the guy you want to be around.
Let's do 2 more questions.
Mike, Jerry McDonald again from the Bay Area News Group. You alluded to this a little bit before. I think the owner of the Washington Redskins once said of George Allen, I gave him an unlimited budget and he exceeded it.
Yeah,
and I'm wondering how close you are to that right now.
We had nowhere near an unlimited budget. And again, the curveball that came out of nowhere, thankfully, was Antonio. So we were willing, and what it really comes down to, Jerry, is you've got a finite number of dollars. How do you want to spend it, right? And when he became available potentially to us, we kind of had to take that sheet of paper out and relook at it as to how many players we thought we could successfully chase or not. So he was kind of the trigger to the rest of what we did. And I think, you know, hindsight will be 20/20 a year from now, but we feel like we upgraded the Raiders with 3 big signings, and we're excited to keep working on it.
Matt Schneidman, Antonio, a quick 2-parter to finish. How many more years do you think you have as a #1 wide receiver in this league, and why no more yellow mustache? People seem to be interested in that.
Well, I'm here. My goal really is to catch Jerry Rice. I'm playing with a guy like Coach Gruden. Obviously, he knows what it takes to keep me upright and fresh, and to keep me out there for a long time. So, you know, it's a tremendous challenge. It's a challenge every year to prove my love for the game. You know, and I'm just taking it 1 year at a time. You know, obviously my goal in the back of my mind to catch Jerry Rice. And every year I have to prove my love. So this year I'm out here to prove my love, that what I could do and what I could be. You know, nothing in the NFL is ever guaranteed or set in stone. So I know these guys believe in me, but it's a lot for me to prove here. So I'm here to prove who I am and what I stand for, not just my words, but my actions. And, you know, hopefully you guys see what I'm about, more so what I say, but more so what I do.
One last question, Felicia.
Thanks. Felicia Purcell for Sports of the Bay. Welcome to Oakland. You're joining another team that is enriched with history. How much do you know about the tradition of the Raiders and the city of Oakland as a whole? And you talked about setting the tone and touchdowns. Have you thought about what your first leap into the black hole is going to be like?
Well, I was at the park earlier. We was throwing some routes, and some guys from Oakland was out there watching, and they was pretty excited. I caught one long pass, and guys was like, they was excited for me to jump in the black hole. So I'm looking forward to the experience. I'm looking forward to, you know, leaping in the black hole, getting fans excited, you know, celebrating with Derek, celebrating with the guys. So I'm just here today. It's the beginning of a great journey, and hopefully you guys are excited moving forward.